All right, we'll call the meeting to order at 5:03. Let's do some introductions.
Scott Breyer, Select Board.
Scott Morley, Select Board.
Dan Webster, Select Board.
Matt Maxwell, Town Administrator.
Lee Curtis, Board of Line Judges, Station Stand Up Planning Commission.
Wasn't me, it wasn't me.
Good evening.
Aha.
Okay, changes or deletions to the agenda. We got a couple things under other business we gotta do. We need a dehumidifier for the old church over there. And Dave Barlow's gonna tell you how the concert went last Saturday or Sunday. Concert in there. Okay, public comment. Anybody? Izzy?
No.
Excellent. Okay, next up, we have the Orleans County Sheriff's contract. You guys should have it there in your packet. Not much has changed. I don't think you guys can tell about it, same hours, same price. The per hour is a little bit slightly more, but other than that, it's pretty much the same.
So, yeah, so we went up and our contract rate is was $55.12 and it went up to $58 an hour. Well, it's gonna probably go up next year too, so. We gotta try to stay competitive with the area departments around us, so. I apologize for getting that to you guys late. I thought I had sent it out, but. Being July 1st is really, we only got a couple towns that do that, so that's my bad. So if you guys wanted to, did you get, Matt, did you send them the email or the
Yep.
amount?
Yep,
with,
yep.
Okay. So I guess it just really depends. I know last year we were talking a little bit, or maybe it was the year before, I can't remember, about possibly increasing some hours. The townspeople want to increase a little bit. I don't know how you guys feel about that. Right now, if you want to keep the contract the way it is, the only thing that's changed is the amount per hour. So if you wanted to stay at 13,000, that would just cut the hours down from 235 to 224 for the year. So and if you wanted to stay at the 235, it would be $13,630, which is approximately 4.5 hours a week right now.
So this needs to be that's not reflected here, I don't think. Go to 6.1.
No, that's the one, that's the 200. That's the one for 13,000 right there.
Yeah. So we would need to get this adjusted if
If you
depending.
want, yeah, if you want the other ones, yeah.
Yeah, that's why I'm here, is because I just didn't know what you guys wanted to do.
Were you,
Easily fix that, whichever one you guys want to do.
were you able to give us the town the hours that, you know, we requested last year? You're gonna be short, right? We're gonna be under budget, I believe.
You check.
Do you know, Deb, what we paid the sheriff year to date or during the?
I don't have the figure as far as what we paid year to date. I just think the billing this year has been a lot more inconsistent, where we've had some months where it was like $162 or $237. Some other months where it was like 1,500 or 800. So in prior years, it seems like it was very consistent, about $1,000 almost every single month. This past year has been very inconsistent with the billing as far as what the dollar amount is and the hours that's been placed in Coventry.
Which, depending on what month that was, that would be consistent, because we had 2 guys in the academy, full-time academy, and now they've returned. And some cases take longer than others. If we have arrests, sometimes those can take 2 to 3 hours, sometimes more, depending if they have to go to traffic court and everything like that. So I can review that when I get back and get back to you on the inconsistency of that.
I have no issue with that part of it. I mean, it's, you can't control crime. You respond to it and deal with it. So I mean, if there's legitimacy to it, maybe just look at it and make sure it's the way it's supposed to be, but my thoughts and opinion would be to keep the hours the same and accept the updated rate. That would probably be where I'm at. I think the amount of time that we've been having seems to be adequate
I agree.
and pay the increased cost and keep the hour the same rather than to reduce the hours. I think it's a healthy spot to be.
I think we added about $3,000 to this
Yeah,
a
you did.
few years ago, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with this contract, maybe keep the same hours, just like Scott said, and well, it'll be an additional to exceed the 13,000 because of the new rate, but
Okay,
You're pretty much up by it last year.
Yeah,
June 30th.
so if you can just adjust that, in this
so you
contract,
want to stay the same hours? Yeah, I can do that, and I can send that out tomorrow.
same hours and with the adjusted increase in rate.
yeah, then I can just sign it.
Yeah, why don't you guys make a motion on that tonight, and then when she sends me the contract, that way you can just sign it.
You can bring it up to me.
Yep, yep.
Marilyn.
And it's 235 hours.
And that will be 235 hour at 13,600 for the year, or not to exceed 13,600 for the year.
Okay, so are you good with that?
That's not it.
I'll make a motion to accept the Orleans County Sheriff Department's contract with the town of Coventry with an adjustment to be up to approximately 235 hours for a total cost annual of 13,600.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Very good.
thank you.
I have a question, concern.
Go.
So some of the concerns that we have are with the roads that are being paved. Obviously are gonna be increasing the speeds as far as more vehicles on those streets, the airport road. We need to make sure that the signage is up correctly as far as the posted speed limits on those roads. And then we also are trying to adapt a new ordinance, a municipal ordinance for all the traffic violations. That would be all your stop signs, your speed signs, and yield signs, everything that you have as far as class 1, 2, 3, and 4 roads. I believe I had sent a copy of a template to Matt a while back. I did talk to Matt on the phone even further back than that. I sent out a copy of a template of an ordinance that we would like all the towns that we contract with to adapt. That way it's just it's similar to every town that we have. It does create a little bit of work as far as the going around, making sure that all the roads are posted properly, making sure that all the roads are in the ordinance. Then you'd have to put it out there, publicize it for 30 days for the townspeople, the voters to be able to appeal it or not before it goes in effect. But there are some of the streets that are not fully covered under your current ordinance, which means that we cannot enforce the law on those roads,
The speed limit.
the speed limits.
So I don't know if you're aware that we've already had this discussion and made this decision. And it was not to adopt that ordinance.
Okay, so just be aware with all the speed complaints that we get on Airport Road, that we will have to enforce that as a public highway as far as a 1081 instead of an ordinance. So that would be a 50-mile-an-hour road instead of a 35. If it's not correctly in your ordinance that you currently have, we can't enforce it because we're gonna lose every traffic court ticket that we put out there.
But we'll look at the ordinance that we have and we'll adjust.
Was there a concern with that template, or is it just something that you guys didn't want to put the work into, or was there questions as far as why?
Want me to field that one?
Go ahead.
Um,
I know what you're gonna say.
we don't like being told what to do. We've got a lot of people lately that have been coming in with predetermined things for us to do. And personally, I'm pretty independent. I don't particularly like that. If there's issues, concerns, I think that folks should bring them to us. Let us think through that and deal with the systems that we have here in place and not simply push aside what's been done here and accept and adopt something that's provided to us. That's what I think.
Okay, we weren't by any means trying to tell you what to do. There was a suggestion that way all the towns are covered as far as the legalities of our jobs with enforcing the speed and the highway laws.
So if it's not clearly stated in our ordinance, a road would default back to the state highway of 50 miles per hour.
Correct. So it needs to be legally posted and legally adopted by the towns under an ordinance to change the speed from a 50-mile-an-hour zone to either a 25, 35.
And the reason we did this is because things are being lost in traffic court. So if we don't have a good ordinance from the town, the traffic judge is throwing it out. So that means,
Have you had that happen with our ordinance?
We have. And so, and also what happens, and not to try to muddy the waters even more, so if we write for like the 1081 instead of the 1007, there's no revenue that comes back to the town as well off those traffic tickets. If we write a ticket for a municipal ordinance, then the towns should be getting a percentage of that ticket back from the state. Where if we write for like the state ordinance, which is a 1081 speed, then the state takes all that money and the town doesn't get reimbursed any of that.
So Matt, can you get our ordinance back out
Sure can.
and look through it, put it back on our table, and we'll deal with our legal if we need to.
Mhm.
And just update it if we need to with the roads.
sorry, we weren't trying to tell you what to do. We're trying to actually work with the town so that you guys can get the best, when we're trying to do our jobs, because, that
Yeah,
everything is done securely. So sorry about that.
no, I get it, and it's just,
I mean, I'd be more than happy to come in and sit down with the current ordinance with Matt at some point and just go through and make this some similar changes or something that.
Make the suggestions that you think
Yeah.
Yeah.
should be in there
Absolutely,
to make your job easier.
yeah.
yeah, I'm not,
So let's do that, Matt.
Okay.
Get it out and let us all look at it first and see where we come up to, and then we'll reach
yeah,
out
if
if
you want
we,
to
if we
give me a
need.
phone call. Usually I'll
Yeah.
definitely.
Perfect.
Good,
Okay.
thanks
Well,
for
thank you
coming
guys very
in.
much. We
Thanks,
appreciate your
Sarah.
time.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
Anthony.
All right, next up, we have the Casella tax dispute.
Would you get off my back for that, Maxwell?
It's not leaving this agenda. You're gonna get the same question every
Think you have a meeting?
Thursday.
Huh?
So we have a meeting scheduled for Thursday. It's been since our last meeting, I think. I will call, I forgot to do that today. I'll call them and make sure tomorrow that we still have that, but Mr. Casella plans to be there, and I think John and
Jeremy.
Jeremy. So we had a good phone conversation. We'll do that Thursday. We don't have a meeting next week, right?
Nope. 24th or 20, whatever, 2 weeks from
I
today.
guess if something crazy or new information comes on that, we can have that conversation, see if it warrants
Yep.
us getting together, but otherwise we can go from there. But
They want to pay more.
I think that's what they said, yeah.
That's what I wanted. I thought that's what I heard.
Okay, all right, next up, we have the ATV right away. You guys should have that in your packet, and you're on.
Any questions I can answer?
It's, I went and drove it. It's a very small stretch of road to get from the.
I got all the information on this from the state already, if you want to look at it first, how far it is, the length. All the towns are coming to us, all the businesses too, they want us to get to their businesses. So what we've been doing, we've been going around to the towns
26 miles.
and, trying. The reason you guys have to sign this is FASTA wants you guys aware of what's going on, and the state wants you aware of what's going on. All the other towns that we put in for, we've got them so far. You're the last ones I've had to come to, and
And that's because this is a state route, correct?
state route, yes.
Okay.
It'll be from upper is it Upper Main Street here from the school?
Yeah.
Up through to the Honda place up here.
Everything's
From the school up, and because it's gonna connect to this street here.
Yes, to the street here.
So you guys can get. the
You just says
workers
black
and-
line.
To-
I just got
With
up
this,
to-
yes.
Yeah.
That
You're
would
the
be
guy,
legal.
you're the guy, all right.
You're right.
No, be legal.
You know, guys, we hear it every day. A lot of people are running
Yeah,
from Common, Irisburg Common to Bob. They shouldn't be.
yeah,
But there's, for some reason, we pay about 50 grand a year for policing, but they ain't doing it.
well. the
And
town-
there's work, and I understand that. Actually, we're planning on going back to the fishing game. Cause they seem to do a better job for us. But that won't be this year, that'll be next year.
Yeah, my only question to Matt a week ago or whenever it was that we were talking about it was, why is this an issue at all? And the answer was because it's a state route.
Yeah.
And then my response was, can we do that? So obviously you've got permission
Orleans,
from the state.
yeah,
We've done this before.
yeah, yeah.
And
We
so,
actually put in for over here, but they won't let us come on Route 14.
and so we don't have the state thing here, right?
Yep,
We do,
I just
yeah.
gave it to you.
And that's telling me that it's all approved at the state level.
Oh, no.
No.
This is just for them to ask for permission from the state level.
It's not
It-
already.
VAS is okayed it already. I gotta have you guys sign it, send it back to VAS, they're gonna send it up to, Jason up to the state shed, and you go over it and either with okay or not.
Gotcha,
It's not an immediate yes by us.
right. Okay,
There's no liability to the town or nothing, they just want you guys involved knowing what's going on.
what other sections in Coventry, just out of curiosity, are,
Well, we put
State
in
roads.
14 over here, 2 years ago, I believe, but too much traffic there, they said,
so the state declined that?
decline that.
So do we have any right now that are approved state highways in our town?
Let me think a minute.
Maybe higher up.
No,
So it's the same
We-
traffic there as is there.
yeah, don't ask me why. We've been over this with Jason, he was gonna look into it, and apparently he don't think he's gonna have a problem with this up here, because it's 40 miles an hour
You know what I mean?
up to the store.
Is it the intersection maybe down here? I know,
Well, we're not coming all the way through, we gotta.
I know before,
That got
why they wouldn't,
approved, that would get approved.
Right.
I think this is about dangerous versus dangerous.
Because there's an intersection there, there's an
Yeah.
intersection.
It
there,
wasn't the
same
intersection.
road. Now, it's up here, you got a school,
Right. But it's 35, I believe, up through there.
not on the state.
There's a 40 mile an hour, 35 or 40 mile an hour sign there.
Hmm.
With a caution light. But during the week, you ain't gonna get no traffic anyway. This is all gonna be on weekends anyway. They'll go up to get gas. Vice versa. It ain't like we're gonna get a lot of traffic up through there. I actually got from Village Pizza and from Orleans too. Which I didn't know they would pay that one, but they don't seem to have a problem with it. And that's headed into an interstate section.
where does the trail go from here?
Up,
Copy Station Road,
College Station. Yeah,
So right now, you have permission to cross the road
yep, and we go up.
right here,
Yeah,
but not to run it.
you can run the state road over here up to.
Well, that's what I just asked, how far we can go. No, that, just from Martha's Diner, right?
Right,
So that little
that little stretch, is it,
100 yards, yeah.
and I don't want all the way up through,
You want to come around this way?
yes.
I'm asking questions, just
I
to
know.
have knowledge about it. I could
And I-
care if
I
every
understand
road
that.
is
No, I understand.
open. I'm just thinking about the pushback we might get, especially with the school. you'll get some pushback on that. Cause you know what they're gonna do going up that tire.
Well, they're gonna make noise even if they're not making noise because it's uphill, so they're gonna sound like they're going 80 and they're probably going 35 plus a little, but they're noisy.
It won't be any noisier than the trucks using their brake. I've heard them coming down through there, they're pretty
Or a
loud.
Harley.
Jake brakes.
So walk me through the particulars of this. We have an ordinance
We have an ATV.
that says all of our roads are open,
Yes.
but that's a state highway.
Mhm.
So we could today just say, well, all our roads are open anyway, so. Have at it, and if the state approves it, then it'll go. Now, if we get a significant amount of pushback on that, could that cause us some other types of problems?
Yeah, I haven't heard of any other problems in any of the other.
I haven't heard any
towns.
problems about any ATVs or UTVs really at all this summer. Have you?
No,
Have you got?
to me,
any?
it seems
I
funny.
haven't.
I know you're trying to stay off the road, but to pull on the road and then slow down, turn on to Main Street. And then pull back out into traffic. Does that make a lot of sense?
No,
No. It'd be nice, because I don't think there is a school sign there. We talked about getting a school sign with a flashing sign over there with the speed limit.
Well, I tried to get around from the
Where,
covered
the
bridge
intersection
around
there?
there, landowners won't let us go.
that whole road through there.
Coming down that hill.
I
you know,
tried,
schools.
because we don't like roads, we're just doing it, because we can't get there from any other place. I've put probably 60 grand over in Coventry, actually, on, from the, Lovejoy Trail down through. I probably put 20 grand in that one, and then I lost over by the Sloan Trail in Coventry. I probably put 35 in that one, and we lost that one. We run it 1 year, and they shut us down.
So we're trying to get you to the. Honda shop.
Yeah.
In Irisburg.
Yep. And I believe is the store up here in Irisburg?
Yeah. Isn't that nice?
That's Irisburg,
Yeah.
but I need that little stretch of Coventry right
So
there.
what about coming from Irisburg side down to there? Same distance probably,
Yeah. Yeah,
and it wouldn't add,
but how am I gonna get there?
wouldn't go, if those are all, that road's open,
What road?
the airport road.
No, I can't get across up here.
The airport road
Talking about going way around.
is
Oh, that's one
is
way.
down to that Honda shop,
Yeah, that's.
Twice.
2 miles,
twice as far,
hour and a half.
Yeah, at least,
too far.
yeah. They won't give us, they don't wanna give us much.
So say we did try this and say we did get a lot of complaints from local residents. Is it possible? It's possible to,
Well, they can shut it down. I can shut anything down we got.
So who would, the question was, who's got the authority to shut it down?
Jason at
The
the
state.
And believe me, we don't want any complaints. I haven't had any complaints.
No,
from any town.
I get it. You're gonna get some by that school.
by the time the trails open, the school is
Yeah, we
almost
close.
closed.
The last day of September.
There are people who don't like ATVs.
Oh, I understand that.
And you're gonna get feedback. We're gonna get feedback. That's the way it is.
Mainly on the weekends, though. During the week, I don't think you're gonna
During
find,
the
much-
weekend.
I don't think you're gonna find that much traffic.
might get one or
The
two.
school's closed during the weekend, mainly.
See what Jason says.
I think we should try it. If they approve it, then we should try it, and if we get complaints, then.
And if
I do think you're right, though.
I mean, especially by the.
I do
noise.
think
If you-
he's
if you
right,
Pull
though.
out of there, if you think about the noise, you're getting on it, going up the hill.
coming from this way, right? Cause a lot of them are gonna be coming
We'll
from our
stay right
way.
on the main highway. all the
Yeah,
way
you're,
up
you're
to
coming
the
down through there. Right? And so then they gotta come up through all this residence. When that's why the state put that over there in the first place. To keep all the traffic and the noise off this main street. So why we wouldn't just run them up there instead of starting it over here?
Too far. Jason says it's too far.
As far as safety, it
I'm
it
just
just
telling you,
doesn't make any
safety.
sense to
Yeah,
these things to slow down, turn, then. You know,
Well, you're here all the time, Matt. How many, during the week, how many ATVs and UTVs do you see zipping through town that you hear? Your right office is right by the road. Is it 5 a day, once a week,
nothing.
5 a month.
and you're here?
well, where are they going now?
I can tell you on the weekend is when.
Yeah, it's the weekend,
It's not the weekends.
Yeah.
It's something that works on the weekend. Significant.
Well, I let Jason do what he wants, I guess.
Need a motion?
Yeah.
We just,
Oh. Oh, how I would say that motion. Make a motion to.
would you like me to tell you how the other towns did it?
Sure,
They don't even make motions, they just agree on it and signed it. Because you actually don't have. What, I guess what I'm saying is,
well, we're
They're
giving
just-
you permission to ask for permission from the state.
right,
basically, yeah.
yeah, that's.
We
what
gotta
it is.
agree as a group.
Right.
That's all it is, it's
That's, that's probably.
just to let you know
Yeah.
what's going on.
So I'll make a motion that the select board. Submit the state highway right-of-way use application of V-Trans for. Route 5 from. Main Street, the intersection of Main Street, Coventry, and southernmost point of that up to Northeast Farmcliff.
So move.
All in favor?
I,
Very good.
Very
You
good.
see where Irisburg sign, you just need to sign just below it.
on this one,
Yep. Great. I can go plus right here, municipality, just sign right there. Irisburg already signed their part of it.
No one will surprise me if he does that.
I'd be surprised, but
Good luck.
yeah, good luck.
Well, we put in for Bob Switzoff down in that's too far. So
Yeah,
Keep Bob wants it really bad.
yeah.
People still end up there. People still end up there.
Well, they can't, that's the only way they can get there right now, because that bridge is out in the back here,
Oh, yeah.
playing in the river.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
There used to be a road that went through here, by Nelson's. Heifer Barns, and it cut across. I don't know if that,
I tried to get through there from, let me think a minute, he owns, Agway up there in Newport.
Bob,
Barbecue, won't let us through there.
Alrighty, VLCT Town Fair.
And actually,
Thank you.
Next week
Yeah.
is in at the end of September. I went last year. Deb's got it in her budget if she wants to go. David Barlow, any town official that's interested. It was really good experience for me last year. Because I was new to the job and I got to meet and talk with a lot of people that have been doing my job for many, many years and had lots of experience and could share certain things that helped me out. I would like to go again, and also if I'm gonna go, you should designate me as the voting person for the town, because they do their annual meeting at this event, so I would be able to vote on behalf of Coventry. as far as VLCT board of directors and stuff like that. I did that last year, so it's good, you know, if we're gonna have somebody there, it's good to participate in the annual meeting.
Deb, are you going?
I'm still debating. They actually this year have a really good track schedule for clerks and treasurers both. So I think it's going to be beneficial, but I do have my VMCTA conference. That's like 2 weeks before this one. So I'm still sort of teetering right now. Because that's just going to make September be really crazy.
The 2-day deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, Friday or Saturday, yeah, Friday, Saturday.
Dave, you going?
I may go to one day.
And I was thinking of maybe going to just one day as well.
So I haven't really looked at this one, Matt. Is it a price for the event? For the-
Yeah,
You
it's a
can't.
price for the event, and then I would need a hotel room, because I'd have to, if I'm the voting delegate, I go to the annual meeting on Friday, and then the workshops are on Saturday,
And then you come home Saturday night.
come home Saturday, yeah.
And if you were to go, you were thinking about going down just for the day
Mhm.
on Saturday, and Deb, you the same?
Yeah, it's actually the 19th and 20th of September, I believe. No, the 26th and 27th, which is a Tuesday and a Wednesday.
Oh,
Yeah.
Tuesday and Wednesday.
It's a Tuesday and a Wednesday, so 26th and 27th. So yeah, I would be the exact same way. It would just be one day.
Is this something that our new foreman would get anything out of?
No,
Or is it more,
No,
more towards business?
Yeah, it's more towards the municipal side of things,
Okay.
not much.
So there's
roads.
not town, there's not road stuff?
No.
Okay.
sometimes they do, but this time they don't. Like last year, I think they had more select board, town manager, road foreman. They really didn't have anything for clerks and treasurers. So this year they really tried to piece it out to make everybody a piece.
Well, it sounds like the only thing we gotta do is deal with him. They're all set in their respective offices. So,
Yep.
so we would just need to say, I make a motion to send Mr. Maxwell
As the voting delegate.
and to authorize him as a voting delegate for us.
And give him permission to get a hotel room probably at the DoubleTree by Hilton, right?
Yeah.
Cheapest one he can find.
It's that one on the corner.
It's gonna be a hostel down there.
Yeah. I think a few people live there occasionally, most of the time.
Where did you see DoubleTree? Right in here?
That's right.
That's where it's at the DoubleTree, that's where
Oh.
the event is.
Yeah, I'm sure they have a block of rooms.
They do, yeah.
Yeah.
So you want that all in one motion?
Yep.
Motion to authorize Mr. Maxwell to attend the town fair for VLCT on the 26th, 27th of September as our voting delegate, and to book a night for himself there at the South Burlington's DoubleTree.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, good. Thanks, guys.
Have fun, everybody. We'll stay here and work for you.
I did see casino night on that.
I did too.
That's no fun. You want the extra $25 to get another $200 chips?
All right, next we have our continuing saga through the policy, our town policies, and this week or month, it's the conflict of interest policy. This was last reviewed in about a couple of years ago in 2021. I went through it. I gotta say, I've looked at some other towns' policies and stuff, and our policies are pretty well written in my opinion. I mean, they're thorough compared to other towns. I don't know, whoever did it, put some work into it,
So
so.
we had to spend a lot of time when I first started. I think you must have brainwashed.
Yeah, I mean, compared to what I read on other towns' websites and stuff, like our policies are pretty thorough, and they
We
do
spent
a pretty
months
good job, so.
doing them.
I don't see any reason to make any changes to this.
No, I think this one's good too.
Yeah.
It was another sort of easy peasy. I don't see anything that would change. I think it's a good one.
So if you guys want to make a motion and sign one of those and give it back to me, I'll file it with the other ones you've updated.
Got any issues?
No,
I'll make a motion to accept and adopt the conflict of interest policy as submitted on the state.
second,
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sign it off there. Lefty.
Yeah.
Thank you, man.
They don't even tell you when people are
I
abandoned.
know that. Keep them coming,
Yeah,
hey.
keep
They're
going.
gonna, we're gonna have some harder ones
We
coming.
are, yeah, we've been getting softballs so far. You're gonna have some-
So
you're gonna
We
have
should
some
mix
tough
in
ones.
we should
we should
mix them
probably
in, we should mix them in.
get them, like send us one this week.
Okay.
So it gives me time or
Time
us
to
time
read 'em,
to
yeah.
a harder one and we'll
Okay.
blast through them somehow.
All right, now it's the time for the main event of the evening. Treasurer's report.
Oh, my God. Hold on to your seat.
It looks good.
You're making money.
Yeah, just to be clear, this is from June, not July. I was working on July today, but it's not really, so. June, from an expense standpoint, pretty normal. You can see there was a lot of flow through of the general fund. However, that was money headed towards CDs at 5% above versus the 0.25% and below. They were getting most here in our own account. So
Nice job.
they're now sitting in as CDs, certificates of deposit from different banks, so they're fully insured in our brokerage account with Fidelity Investments. But they're regular bank CDs. Should anybody have any questions about that? July 1st is the time where I post the new investment results of the graph at the bottom of the treasurer's report. You've got that for you. You can kind of see we've been over the past year headed in the right direction. for Investment results. 7/1/2022, we're about 9.6 million, and end of July 1st, we're at 11 million. That's what this year.
With a couple deposits.
That does not include the CDs I just mentioned. Those are not included in that, or it shouldn't be, they're in the general fund, but with a couple deposits from action at the town meeting. So there was 200 or 250,000 that was part of the budget, and then another 300,000 for Article RT. So the number was about of gain was about 850K approximately. That's about 9%. Again, pick any period, you can get all different numbers.
Mhm.
You know, this is very long term. In general, it's doing well, going in the right direction. Keep adding money. With that, it's the other thing to report is the Microsoft shares have in fact been uncertificated, removed from our vault, where Lord knows why they ever got certificates, but they did. Those are now turned in back to Microsoft. They have been transferred into our Fidelity brokerage account in a separate account. Now they're with overall investment advisor.
But separate and always will be,
Separate accounts.
so that we can
Yes.
always know and understand as that fluctuates.
Right, Edmund Douglas Price Fund for school
Books or
material,
whatever.
media materials, basically books, supporting things.
So that made a lot of money this year.
Did quite well.
Starting with
Unfortunately, it's in a single stock, so I'm discussing now with
John Henry, that's not sure, but broadening that out. The donor's original advice back in 1999 was sell the Microsoft stuff and put it in low load or no load, put it in no load low cost mutual fund. Here we are,
And we started with 10,000, correct?
30
Started with $30,000 23 years
of
ago.
Microsoft there.
30,000.
Well, and they've drawn a lot of the money out of there.
No. 10,
Somewhere in the 15K range,
Okay.
if you believe the accounting from before 2017.
I don't,
But it's,
for the record,
yeah,
but
I found it to be,
Okay.
I found it to be
Lot.
fairly,
they were paper in the wall, remember?
to be ballpark that, right, there's no, as far as I can tell, no misappropriation. It's.
Yeah.
Good.
So,
Done well.
if there are no other questions, that concludes my treasurer's report.
There are other questions.
Excellent.
He does bring spirit. When's our auditor gonna show up?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. I was meaning today to call. I did check on the map and verify that they probably were submerged,
Oh,
but I haven't contacted them.
what town's he from?
Montpelier, right there on
Oh,
the road that, I go right next to it.
Yep,
So
gotcha.
high probability they were submerged, but I don't have confirmation of that. So it's on my list of
Reach out and see where things are
where
at.
yet.
Okay,
That said, I have closed the fiscal year for fiscal year 23 in Nemrick. Made all the adjustments I think I needed to make and could make myself based on what happened in previous fiscal years, and looking at what the auditors have done over the years, following suit. And
where did we come out as far as our budget?
yeah, I knew that question was coming, and I don't have a. Yeah, I can run it right here, but it's gonna take just a minute.
Close?
We are close. I know we're close, because as I followed it towards the end, we were pretty much there.
Okay.
In terms of on the roadside. I think on the municipal non-road side, in other words, this building, we're pretty much well under budget, but
I'd like to see all
let
of
me get
those
the
sooner
exact
than
numbers, I'll get
later,
those out to you.
maybe by next meeting.
Wait, I can just nail them. I'll send them.
I guess the other thing that I would say is always wanting to get a rise out of you, Dave, is I'm still against special funds.
Okay.
And I've thought about it for months about why I would feel so strongly about it. And the reason that I'm feeling so strongly about the current strategy the town employs utilizing special funds is because the money we expend does not have an appropriate level of specificity to the vote. For instance, we go to town meeting and we say we want to appropriate $100,000, $500,000, whatever, to roads and bridges or infrastructure or whatever. But that's all we're giving the specificity to at the town meeting level. And then the select board spends the money under the general umbrella of roads and bridges or whatever. And I don't think that that's appropriate. I specifically don't think it's appropriate because of the amount of money that we have there and the amount of money that we've expended from it over the last number of years. I don't see that changing if we don't change the system. I might be able to pull the reins on this project or that project, but I don't think that that's the type of system that we should develop long-term for our town. If we continue utilizing, we were over 3 million, I think you gave me some of those numbers and we should revisit those again. I think we've spent over 3 million now through special funds in the last 4 years or so. And that's on top of $1 million operation budget. That's too much money without taking the item, whatever it might be, paving, buildings, equipment, large purchases, without taking those back to town voters to ask for an appropriation for that specific cost. That's where I'm at with that. No other town does it like that. We shouldn't, just because we have the money.
So when we come into town meeting, you'd like us to have basically a budget on every, instead of having an appropriated fund or a general fund that we put them, ask the town to put the money in, present it as, okay, gonna buy a grader and it's 680,000. Do they approve it? If we're gonna do paving on this road, it's this much money, do they approve it?
Right.
More,
Most
Have a lot of
towns
it.
don't have that money, right? So when they need a grader, they go to the town and they get the town meeting and they get approval to get a loan. And then they build that into their budget. And so it's, you know, a 10-year loan or whatever it is. And it just, that's their budget moving forward all the time, whether it's roads, whether it's equipment, whether it's buildings, that's how they do it. So it's, their budgets aren't going like this all the time. Because they're raising taxes to do it, right? So they have to kind of keep that all within reason. We're not doing that. We're simply seeing something we want and we're buying it. Or we're seeing something that we need because we didn't think about it for too long, like a large piece of equipment or a lacking up there of a piece of equipment, and then we just buy it. And that's a foolish system, because you're allowing 2 votes, 2 out of 3 of us, to control $3 million. And, you know, we're gonna change, other people are gonna come in, other people are gonna have ideas and concepts, other people are going to spend their $3 million. And it's not an appropriate way to do business. We should be, like you mentioned, we should be having our budget for the next fiscal year when we're creating it later this year for next town meeting, and included in that budget is all of our money with the expenses. Just like, I mean, our budgets always have all those lines. That's why we have them. So in those lines, we should have, we need a new piece of equipment, or we want to pave road number X, road letter X.
what's it
That's
gonna cost?
right. And all of the rest of the money that's left over needs to go to investments. I would potentially suggest that using our fortune could be wise to have, I wouldn't call it a slush fund, I'd call it an emergency fund of some sort. But I think that we need to think through what an emergency is and what sort of discussion or level of authority or vote we would want to take in order to expend it. So if there's $100,000 or $250,000 or something put into a special fund, not with any of those types of earmarks on it, but as an emergency fund for the truck that caught on fire, yeah, or the flood that came through.
Or the difference in the quote that we received, and now it's $10,000 more.
Something like that, that's uncontrollable. That's a good way to think
Because a
about
lot
it,
of
something
times you can't.
uncontrollable.
You can't get quotes a year ahead.
And then I think we need to consciously think through, what does it take to expend that money? Is it just us? Is it, probably it is, but It shouldn't be very much. I mean, it shouldn't be millions of dollars, it shouldn't be very many hundreds of thousands of dollars, we can always. We'd have to think through that piece. But. I just think the town has outgrown it, it was a good idea, it was a wonderful concept. To 20 years ago or 30 years ago that it was developed, and it's evolved over time, and I get it. But it's allowing us, in my opinion, to spend too much money, and it's also allowing us to spend that amount of money without voter knowledge. Whether
So-
they want it or not.
So if these voters have already approved this money that's in these funds.
Yeah.
They would have to devote it to transfer it back. If
Yeah.
we- So say this building and maintenance fund's $374,000. That's in that fund.
Yeah.
I know we had earmarked money for the parking lot. We just haven't done anything with this yet.
Right.
So. Prior to town meeting, we get estimates, we decide as a board what we want to do with this parking lot, we get prices for next year. And that would be when we would earmark the money, or we would get the voter approval for the money to do the parking lot with X amount. But it looks like there would be some extra funds that would be going back,
The vast majority of it would.
correct?
It would be, well, we would need to have a conversation about what to do with that, and probably jumping way ahead, it would be to ask the town. If they buy into the concept, they can say no, they like spending the money. That way we've been spending it, they could say that. But I would probably ask that gets sent to investments. You're still got what? 2.5 million there,
No, 374,000 building and maintenance fund.
I mean, total.
Well, that one fund only has 374,000. Right,
Yeah.
but these other ones, we still haven't seen Pike's bill, this bill, so these are gonna be,
No, but they're done paving, so we
Yeah.
should see it.
we're gonna be
Yeah.
seeing, this 2.5 million is gonna be knocked down by 700,000 pretty soon, probably 600 or 700,000. Maybe,
Right. So you'll have a little under 2 million still in there. So,
some of it, yeah, I don't know, like, once they vote on it, like the community economic development, the 225,000. How do you get that? Once you put it into one of those funds, you can get a vote and take it out and put it somewhere else.
Yeah.
Must be.
yeah, we've done that a couple times. Yeah, we've gone away from budgeting. By doing it this way, there's no budget to it. It's just that we've got so much money, we see balances seem low in certain areas, so we throw hundreds of thousands of dollars at the problem. That's what we're doing, we're not budgeting it, we're not thinking about it, we're not looking at equipment needs, we're not looking at those bigger things to then go to the voter and ask, do you want to spend your money this way on this project or on this piece of equipment or on this whatever?
We just look at it and say, do we got enough to buy a new truck?
That's what we're doing. And I think the answer is, it's not going to affect people's taxes. So they're going to not really care. That's my opinion. Because it's not going to drive their taxes. But I think the majority of the people in the room who think through that and have a conversation about the concepts of how you want to expend money wouldn't think that that's a good idea when you should have it in a budget. It's town money. It should be in a budget. They're not gonna,
It seems crazy.
Yeah, it'd be in the budget, but not in the taxable budget kind per se. It
Yeah,
wouldn't be in.
they should know what they're voting on. it shouldn't just be that we get to come in
It was easier.
and.
This was an easier
Yeah,
way.
and just spend the money, and when something comes up, it's not challenging us to make Maxwell work harder.
It made me work harder as moderator, that's for sure.
I don't think so, because a lot of the stuff that's right there, you can build into your normal operational
Yeah.
budget in lines that you actually already have.
Right.
A lot of that stuff is already there.
It is.
We've just kept the regular budget, well, until recently, kind of down,
Mhm.
and spending has gone up. So it's just transferring that stuff back over there
Yeah,
into those line items, and then looking at the big ticket items.
Well, we just kept the same amount of money going into the investment funds, and then what was left, we rolled it over into these funds.
Right. Yeah. And that money is making what?
9%
It's 9.
last month.
The target over the very long term is 7.5.
Yeah, right. So it's, yeah.
But we lost, or we lost.
Yeah.
it per year.
Take your period of measuring.
Yeah.
Holiday number.
we took it on the chin for about 6 months.
So I guess what,
So these special funds right now, so that buildings and general, buildings and maintenance fund that we were just looking at, they're the 374 of the top line. That money is physically where right now?
see.
Buildings and maintenance fund is physically the bank.
Right,
It's only general fund money that's the CDs current.
Oh, I didn't know that.
yeah. So that $374,000 is making nothing.
0.2%.
Probably 1/4%.
See what I mean?
And if we don't plan on spending it over the next 3 months, he should put 250,000 in the CD.
There's a lot of things to
Right.
be dealing with there.
Mhm.
So of that 2.5 million, right, the total sum of the balances of the restricted community bank accounts is 2.5.
There probably is 1.5 million you could safely have invested.
So how much of the 2.5 is making interest money?
All of them. It's just that community making 1/4% versus.
Well, that's my question. So all of that is 1/4%.
It actually varies depending on which account, because the interest rate varies depending on the balance. So some of it's 1/4, some of it's less.
So it's giving the benefit of the doubt would be 1/4% for $2.5 million.
For example, the general fund was getting.
Think about how much money that is.
I mean, it's just like your money in your check.
50,000 a year.
Yeah.
Personally, nothing.
Because we're not, honestly, we're spending, and we're gonna be spending, paying stuff that's already happened, at least $1 million out of here, so we really have about 1.5 million. So.
But it's
probably
been there.
Selling by,
Yeah, it was all 0.25.
Yeah.
Last.
been there,
So we've had,
In June.
so if that had made the 9%, right?
but honestly, the interest rates have just gone up over the last. In
So-
CDs, the CDs didn't exist a year ago, so it hasn't been as bad as you're making it sound. It's still,
What I'm saying is we have $2.5 million in community bank earning 1/4%. And that money, if it had been anywhere else, would have been making more than that. Whether it was a CD, whether it was with Fidelity
well, no, we
Investments.
lost last year, so if it was in that particular
We're really-
time frame, we would have got whacked, we would have lost it.
The way it's structured now. All I can do with that money is put in CDs,
Right,
but. I have to have enough cash on hand to pay the bills.
right.
So thus I haven't drained out the roads infrastructure fund. Which is sitting at 1.1 million, because
Right,
I know I got big bills coming.
right.
Um,
So I'm not suggesting we do that. I'm suggesting that.
I
when
am gonna do it, I'm waiting for this bill. And interest rates have continued to rise, so we haven't. we're still in that sweet spot of being able to take advantage. And I've been, the general fund money, been sweeping that in as it comes. So, you know, we've sort of veered off here a little bit, but yeah, I mean, there's further CD plans for some of this. as
Right,
long as
there's
they-
probably $500,000 you could squeak out of there in a CD without getting caught. Having to pay a bill.
So, so along those lines, and it's all relative to the conversation because it's all about our checkbook here, but. The issue of, and I want to talk to our new auditor about this one, around what deposits that we receive in our quarterlies from Casella is allocated to what fiscal years. I don't believe that the way we've been doing it is the most prudent. Meaning, we wait for currently our fourth check of the year doesn't come until after the end of the year into the beginning of the new year. And I don't think that we should do that. I don't think we need to.
Well, it's a different way, it's a different accounting system, so we're in modified accrual basis. We have to do it that way as long as we're in modified, which is
But we don't have to be
a
in the,
pretty normal way. No, we can go to cash, but you have to remember when you're budgeting at a town meeting, you're budgeting for the next fiscal year. So you're looking at, in our town meetings, we're always looking at 3 fiscal years. What do you do with all the leftover money from the last fiscal year? What are we doing this fiscal year? And then what's our budget for next fiscal year?
I understand.
So I'm not sure I understand the point of being too concerned about when to sell it, how we treat it, sell a check.
Well, because if we had no money, what he's getting, I think what Scott's getting at is if we based paying our bills by the future income, we could have all the money that the town voted on for whatever we decided the budget was gonna be for different, you know, buildings and maintenance or trucks or this. We don't have the money. We don't set the money aside for that. We take it as it comes in.
Right.
That way we're 100%, we're probably 125% invested. We're over invested. And then if we get caught with our pants down, we have an emergency fund that you can say, hey, we need to borrow against this emergency fund. You know, and get our money to pay these bills, and then we're gonna put it back when we get the next check.
Correct. Because right now you're only getting 3 checks in your fiscal year.
No.
You're not, because you're counting the fourth one, which is in the next year.
Yes, but you had that in the previous year. They come every quarter,
You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
and I don't see how that is an advantage at all. We could still do whatever we want within budget wise with cash that came in mid-July from Casella, which, yes, it gets accounted for as a fiscal year 23 event, but it hit the bank in July. So that's what
So if
reflect
we,
here.
if we create our budget, if we begin our budget discussions in a couple of months for fiscal 24, 5, we should have an eye toward drawing that down to nothing. It should be, this is how much money we are budgeting to operate the town of Coventry.
Mhm.
All of its operations, equipment, roads, everything that we have should be that much. And that's the only amount of money that should be in the checkbook. All of that other money will have then been voted upon, be sent to investments. It won't be sitting in all these other accounts.
Kind of 2 different things.
And then you'll back out the the projected income from that, so then even more is backed out.
Correct.
Right.
You need to make sure you have enough in the general fund beyond what's budgeted.
Which is why you want all 4 of
You'll
those
find
checks.
yourself unfortunately going to the local bank with your head out. Because there's gonna be times that things happen.
So right now, we get 4 checks and they're gonna be, so we'll go through all that on paper, but you're gonna be receiving those checks, which are gonna be far outweigh the budgeted expense for that quarter.
We're not counting right now, the problem is right now, we're not counting on the revenue. The revenue just bubbles around till the end of the year and then that's the problem.
That's true too.
That's the problem. We're not.
Yeah.
Where the new system will take into account, like you're billing someone, like the town's gonna take in, we're taking in this money.
Right,
Where you're gonna use it to pay these bills
Correct.
right now.
correct.
And we're not gonna have any left over. We
Well,
might need to borrow a little bit back from our investments at the end, possibly.
you should have
shouldn't
to
have to,
force
but-
yourself to think through it that way.
And now we make the budget and then we just get more money.
Yeah,
And then we put some into long-term and the rest just kind
and
of,
basically you just see where you ended up. And you make decisions and you're rounding off in hundreds of thousands of dollars. And we shouldn't be rounding off at all. We should know what our budget is. If the budget doesn't work because of an unexpected experience or emergency, then there's a thoughtful process that we should be stepping through in order to find the funds for that. But it shouldn't be any super big surprise on all of our line items and all these expenses.
because somewhere on this budget, on this report, honestly, we should be showing what our anticipated income is gonna be. You know, we don't have it yet, but we know how much Casella is gonna give us in a roundabout. They're gonna pay on 600,000 tons, X amount,
Mhm.
give or take.
Yeah.
You know, so you're talking 2 million, 1.8 million, whatever that number is.
I would say plus or minus $250,000 a year.
Right,
I mean,
Yeah.
you're
but that's still
you're
good,
just
fine.
not gonna know.
Yeah.
Well, you wouldn't have to figure it that tight, but you could get it close.
Yeah. Yeah, there wouldn't be hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars not making interest.
Right, we'd probably could safely be 200,000 or 300,000 getting 2%.
Very safely.
Yep.
Oh.
He
Like I
likes
say,
it.
if you're talking a general fund down, then I would say, don't do that. If it's a reserve funds, that's certainly up to you guys.
I was
General
talking
fund, you
general
want
fund.
I know, me too.
a significant cushion in that general fund, like 500K.
Where would you get away with saying that in any other town?
They all do. They all,
$500,000?
maybe not that much, but they're not dealing with the kinds of money that we deal with. They,
Well, that's the problem when we're spending it.
I think you find they spend similar.
We run a pretty tight ship.
So
I think more importantly, you show the budget though,
you got, yeah,
regardless of what you're
I
investing.
think just
you're showing them.
the process of
Yeah.
all of this will get us all to
And-
agree on those answers if we see it on paper.
And feeding the budget, you know, when you get the check, feed the budget with it. You need that money to pay
Right.
the things we're gonna do later.
Yeah, which is why I'd love to, I want to have that discussion, I'm gonna have that discussion with the new auditor and, you know, what's that look like so that you know, the first check that you get, which is, when did we get our July check?
Somewhere around the 20th.
So that, the 20th of July would be check number 1 for that fiscal year. So that's the money you're spending. See what I mean?
I get it. You don't need to carry that money forward from town meeting till then.
Correct.
You might not get paid every 2 weeks. You might get paid, you know, quarterly.
So,
It does make the whole payroll thing much easier, but I think
No,
that's not gonna be fit for happy employees.
it's a joke.
I guess I wouldn't. I think this new auditor is probably gonna recommend you go to a cash basis. However, that's not a panacea for fixing everything. It doesn't do it. In my opinion, it does nothing for you. The cash arrives when the cash arrives, and you can always use it as it's sitting in the account. Which fiscal year it falls into, meh. But the budgeting process you're talking about is just way more detailed than what you've done in the past.
Yeah, it's gonna be quite a bit of work, but once you instill it,
it's
And
not,
it's
it's
not
not
gonna-
quite a bit of work, though. We do all of the work now with our regular budgeting process. We've just got we've just got these and these expenses that you've got here 6,800, 5,000, 27,000, 10,000, that would have been over inside of the regular budget. You're still doing it all now.
Mhm.
It's just not detailed out for the voter before they vote. And then therefore not up to
That's my
us.
point. It's, that piece of it hasn't been there. We're saying the same thing.
Yeah,
So.
so it's not any extra work.
I mean, that process of how much money do you put in reserve funds has fallen on myself and the town administrator this past few years to figure it out.
Can we kind of just get quotes from Pike? We decide what roads we're gonna do and put in the money for it. Or we ask the town to approve it, and the same with like the church and that last year. And I don't know how come we ended up with so much extra money in building and maintenance, but maybe it was because in case we wanted to do something, we didn't have to go back to the town. If we wanted to buy another house or something.
You're a good bat.
We've had a grant. There's.
Yeah. But
So,
So
you guys wanna chew on that for a while and we come back and talk about that again? It's still just July.
A related topic, actually, while we're in reserve funds is your flood recovery and mitigation, flood mitigation or recovery fund. We've had a flood. We have now recovery and mitigation underway, especially with roads. And we're getting bills for that. Do you want any engagement in the flood recovery and mitigation reserve fund with any of the billing that's coming in?
so like, for instance, the $20,000 from Bill from Calkins, or 19,000, are you thinking that's where that should come from?
It depends how you view reserve funds, really. Is it appropriate for the flood reserve fund to fund some of that and then get reimbursed through FEMA
If
money
we
that
do,
flows in? I mean, it could be.
because that's not really fair to take that out of our road budget, because we didn't budget in $20,000 just to dump over the bank to fix that road.
And that's sort of what we discussed 20 minutes ago, which is why, that's an emergency. It's an act of God. You didn't see it coming, right? It's something that you didn't have an uncontrollable. And so that would be exactly what we would probably need an emergency fund for.
There are reserve funds here that one in particular.
Right. So I would, I would think anybody, I agree with that.
I would agree with
think
that.
anybody wouldn't agree with that.
I agree with that too.
Yeah. So that we don't have, because if we did spend the 20,000 out of our normal operation budget, then that's 20,000 that he can't spend on something that we planned him to spend it on,
Right.
whether it be salt, gravel, tires, whatever. And so I don't think that that would be appropriate because it was an unforeseen emergency.
Okay, so we'll make that, when I say we, me and Devin will make that part of our engagement. What's happening?
So. Can you guys chew on that for the next couple of weeks?
Well, and then I think we should just give you the authority to talk to the auditor when he comes.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
talk with him. I mean, and then we'll.
I don't see why it shouldn't be that way anyway. I can't imagine any other town does it. much
So are
different.
you saying, so say we come up with it, we do a real good job budgeting, and we talk to the road foreman, and he says, this is my 5-year plan for equipment, and this is what I'm expecting to do. So we have his budget, plus we have machinery, equipment, but what he's gonna need. And then we talk about building and maintenance, and we come up with a number for that. So when we present this to the town and they approve it, where does the money sit? It's not gonna sit in the special funds because we dissolve them. So where does the money sit? The money really isn't even, it's just a number. We don't really sit the money anywhere because we're gonna feed that from our income. Is that what you're correct?
I think so.
If it's-
We'd have to put that on paper and talk through that, but. So I would forecast. I would foresee in that example, the foreman and the town administrator going through all of the capital issues, going through major pieces of equipment and having that all down there with their cost replacements, right? And they should have a targeted date for those turn-ins, right? The graders, year,
Yeah,
whatever.
whatever.
And that should be a working, living document that's always updated as pieces of equipment change and as things change, right? Then the year of 2025 comes along and you have that on your top line now as this year's expense related to that, those pieces of, equipment. That should then be taken and transcribed into your budget for the year in a specific line item. See what I mean?
Mhm. No, I
And
get
it
it.
should just keep walking itself back and forth. You're gonna have, you're gonna have $2 million sitting on that paper of all that equipment. But it's not all equipment that you're buying at the same time.
Right,
It's all equipment you're gonna buy. So
right,
you gotta have a strategy on how it is that you should buy it. Right now, we don't have that strategy. We just wait till dump trucks blow up. Things get
Right.
20 years old or 30 years old, you're not thinking about it. You're not maximizing those trades and keeping good equipment. You're probably driving repairs, you're driving man hours, that stuff.
Mhm.
And so to develop that and then just keep that, taking that top line every year and putting it over here, and it'll fluctuate, right? Graders are a lot more than tractors.
right,
But there's a way for us to very transparently look at that and provide that to the town and say, here's the expense of the year. Because this piece of equipment is 10 years old, or 15 years old, and here's what we're gonna get for trade, and he's gone and got all the work and the numbers for you, and this is the cost of it. And you just keep,
would that be part right of the road budget? Or would,
we would have to think about that, because you would have to think about whether or not you wanna have that as a standalone so they could vote it down. Rather than vote the whole budget down.
Okay, yep.
You'd have to think through that.
Have a capital equipment.
Yeah, right.
So that.
That's
list-
probably how you would want
List
it.
of capital equipment does exist, it's been part of the.
Yep.
Audits all these years.
Yep.
Updated.
Yep.
Is it 100% accurate? It could probably use a walkthrough, but
Pretty good.
I think it exists, I know it exists, and it
Looking at
exists,
right now.
yeah, and it exists because we have an auditor now. It doesn't exist because we use it. What we need to do is actually use it.
Right, I don't look at it and see how old this shit is, like,
Auditors
like
don't tell you should have one just so it looks good on the computer screen. You should have it, and it should be here, and it should help you develop your budgets.
right, like even though the generator here is, we get a maintenance and whatever, but the thing's pushing 20 years old probably,
That's a good
Do we need a
example.
new one, or are we gonna
Probably.
just all of a sudden have a failure and have to buy one we don't have in the budget? We should maybe think about maybe, hey,
It should be on
building
that.
and maintenance, maybe it should be on it, maybe we should think about getting a new one.
Right. It should probably be on that, and you should probably get a professional to tell you what's the life expectancy on the hours are on it, what's the replacement cost. And think through that and put it on that sheet. With a year
Mhm,
and a number.
together.
Yeah.
Remember
Sorry,
that?
Matt.
That's okay, that was a good, hey, that was a good preliminary budget meeting. You guys did a good job.
You can summarize it up, probably just say, yeah, let's say.
Blah, blah, blah.
Good job, let's,
Perfect.
we'll have to come back to that.
We gotta start sooner than later on this,
Yeah.
later on this, it's gonna be a lot.
2 weeks.
We'll start.
I think we need to put that on every
You
meeting,
will, yeah.
just like the Casella thing. It
I
should be
usually-
right on every meeting,
Starting in September, we'll have budget every,
because this one's bigger. If
Yeah.
we're developing a plan.
Yep.
To eliminate that and developing a plan
I think the
to,
easiest thing would be just to spend all that down to zero.
then we need to keep this discussion going every 2 weeks.
and I can do a lot of work before the meeting so that we don't have.
And I bet we, you know what, we
You
probably
guys.
have enough money in these funds that we could use it and be done with it, you know what I mean? Not saying this for next year. You know what I mean? If we start looking at the equipment we need and we look in the budget and we look at the roads that need to be paid after paid, we have about the same amount of money as we've been spending in those funds, so probably. You'd find that you're not gonna be pulling that much away.
You have to talk through.
You have to talk through the whole thing.
Yeah. How to do that.
This time at town meeting, instead of you putting any more money in these funds. You don't put any money, all the extra money goes into long-term investments. And then we may ask to transfer, hey, can we transfer 150,000 from building and maintenance into. Such and such, one of these other ones that's lagging, if we come up with numbers that require it, and then take away X amount if we need to and put it into long-term.
The
But
devil in the details. Yeah, we'll have to think through it. The only other thing was ARPA money. Are we done?
It's gone.
It's totally.
Oh, I think it's slightly different.
Oh, most of it's gone, right?
Most of it is, but there's some residual I need to get this month's report done
Yeah.
and come back to you.
Okay, let's get it going, huh?
Yeah.
So whatever that number is, it can't be very much.
Yeah.
So
Well, and once we get the final salt shed, you know, it might not be.
yeah, let's just forget that.
that, or that we could use it for those weights.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
other business. We need a dehumidifier in the meeting house.
Yeah, so the basement is very wet, has a propensity to flood, although it has a floor drain, so it doesn't fill with water. It runs through. Happy to take you through and show you sometime. With the latest sets of rains, it's wide open, you know. So it's very humid in there, it's the bottom line, and there's mold all along one of the walls, that's in the most affected area in the basement. We had the engineer come through, gosh, probably 3 or 4 years ago now. Regarding the foundation system, one of his recommendations was put a dehumidifier in there.
Should we put 2 and then you can monitor it and run them direct down into the drain, so then they don't shut off?
I was thinking to start with 1, but definitely put it in the drain, because it,
Put it in the drain so you don't have to go there every day and empty it.
right. And so you can get a decent dehumidifier in the $300 to $400 range, that size. It's a large, not a commercial, I'm not talking a commercial.
Yeah, pick and shovel, the best one with the extra warranty, $300 or wherever.
Yeah.
Well,
Size
I'm
that thing.
looking at energy costs, because ultimately it's energy cost that's gonna dominate. So, yeah, you can spend on the cheap side, but if the energy cost is, so if the energy cost is probably gonna be in the $50 to $60 a month range. To run it, if it turns out to be as wet there as it seems to be. Of course, it's not a winter issue, it's a summer issue,
It'll run nonstop, most likely.
this time of year, yeah. Probably.
So that's not a gutter system over there, if I remember. It's water under the floor.
Right, so the gutter system actually they've just been redone. There's gutters, they're both coming off on both ends.
Yeah.
It's on the east side of the building, on the, whatever that road is, Covered Bridge Road side.
Yeah.
The gutters come down off, they're coming in pipes right into the drains in the ground, which appear to come out into the street. I haven't been over there when it's pouring down rain, or maybe I just pour something in ammonia in to see if I can figure out, make sure that it's coming into the street and not just going into the ground. So it seems like it's groundwater, and it could well be water coming off Covered Bridge Road, which has been paved recently, was a dirt road. And it's also notably wetter, but of course it's been notably wetter. So it may be that we need to divert water off of it. That's coming in off of the road. The road slopes right in, and it just,
So maybe we have Pike put a tar curb down the side of the road, so no road water goes over the bank down on the side of the church until it gets to the bottom of the hill, right? And then it comes across the street and
yeah,
causes.
we'll have to look at it, because there's not much space there. I looked at that. It's just not a lot of space there without building it into the road. It may be more about putting the pipe down in a ditch that's kind of right next to the wall.
I don't know.
dig that out, put
It
stone.
may be all of that, maybe dig
Drain
it
it,
out.
drain around it.
It should be.
I'll go over and look at it sometime with you, Dave. I haven't put my eye on it anyway,
There's
but
another issue in the front we need to look at.
obviously we need the dehumidifier, so.
Yeah.
Buy it. That's a small item, you don't need our.
I don't think so, just.
Well, but it is, I would think a buildings maintenance reserve funds.
There you go.
I would think so too.
So have them make a motion.
I mean, it doesn't have to be, it's not a big deal.
Stop that.
We can.
So cause listen, so after a month, and it doesn't, if there's still the mold and it doesn't like go away, then maybe we should talk about hiring someone to spray it. And kill it,
That's probably gonna be a thing anyway, just because.
but we should, let's get it before, let's kill it before it's, let's get it before it's worse. Let's kick it in the ass. right
So you
now.
want a motion?
Yes.
See what they make me do. Well, we don't have a number, so I just say, you want just one?
Up to $500.
But I think it's gonna be
It'll be less than that.
a lot less.
So I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of a dehumidifier up to the $500 level for the use in the, what do we call it? Elijah Cleveland Building, Meeting House.
You,
Second, those in favor? Aye.
And on that same building, we had a very successful concert there a week ago Sunday, not this past week ago. When the Play Every Town pianist came from the UVM professor and came and played, and there was 25, 26 people.
Awesome.
great.
2 people sat outside actually because they could smell the mold. But it was loud enough you could sit outside and hear it too.
Well,
That's awesome.
Let's deal with the mold.
But
Yeah.
the guy's really good, so
Better
he
go
played,
look at it. Don't look
played
at it.
both, there's 2 pianos up in the main room, he played both.
Yeah,
Splendid time he's had over.
you both got the key to that?
I don't have a key, but we should, yeah. Got it.
The basement was so humid that the door swelled, the only way to get it open was to kick it. Boy,
Yeah, if we have to throw some money into drainage on the side, because we can't have it fill up with mold. We spent $200,000 on the building. We want to be able to go in it.
Don't tell him when numbers like that.
We had the grant,
We
Oh, yeah.
got 50,000 right.
Historical preservation grant.
I agree.
You knock that church down, you don't have a town. Got it.
I
Beautiful.
agree.
All right, guys, we need to approve the minutes from July 24th.
Remember. Good.
Good.
I make a motion to accept as presented the minutes of the select board meeting for Monday, July 24, 2023.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Okay, great. Now you got the warrants.
Deborah.
Hey, it's your guys' fault the folder's so thick.
Oh,
Look at that.
it's terrible.
Oh, yeah,
It's something from last.
we decided not to pay those Fred's ones. Because we think they're jerking us around.
Yeah, that's the question. If you remember, I think you were actually on the board, Scott M. We had paid 2 invoices to Fred's for $130 each, one for each generator. Or I should say one for each of the tanks, for the one for the school for the generator, and then our generator here. those were monitor fees just for them to monitor the tanks. Now they're going ahead and they're charging 120 or 125, whatever is on those invoices, because we're not using enough propane. So they're charging another fee. So that's like $500 on 2 tanks. I honestly think we should either scope it out, go to some of the other vendors, see if they're doing the exact same thing. 1, and 2, I know at the school, and I know I've said this before, we use propane as a primary heating source over at the school. I don't see why we shouldn't be able to piggyback off from their pricing to be able to have maybe that vendor do our tank, and if it eliminates, I mean, it's $500 with the fees. I don't know, to me, I just find that crazy, but it's your guys' call.
We should definitely be able to source off their price for propane too, because I know. You know, I get a price at my shop and then I carry it to my house and my son's house, and my parents' house and my sister's house, and it's like one big
Who
thing.
do you have? Because they won't do that for me.
Hey, cousin. Cousin Scott.
I don't know if I'm getting a very good price, but I'm more than the one, I bet I don't get a good price at the school.
So we're gonna set, you're recommending we set those aside for the moment, Deb, and figures, call timeout.
You'll do some research on it and see.
Yeah, but I
But
do know, take
make
into
a phone call.
consideration, Fred wants that money now, so. Not sort of like take time to figure it out, but like next couple of days to week, figure
You'll
it out
call.
and
Matt's on it.
see which way to go.
What does the school lock in for propane? How much a gallon does they pay, you know?
This year, it actually ended up going up. We are at, oh God, I think 175-ish
Mhm.
Okay.
around there.
Lot, there's. So we use Fred's for a number of things, right?
Not real.
Diesel fuel for we buy our diesel.
We use Fred's for
Off-road.
diesel, and for propane, that's it. Because heat and fuel all comes from oil supply.
Well, a lot of diesel.
Yeah.
Oil supply though?
Yep, oil
Yeah.
supply does diesel, but.
So-
we never receive
So
it.
they.
Why couldn't we just say this? Why wouldn't it be good business for the town? Almost annually, or, you know, as necessary. Look at those types of things. We use a lot of fuel and we use a little propane. And we should probably be getting 2 or 3 different bids for that for a year.
We should.
And that could be part of the larger conversation as you do that work, which is, you know.
Right. We tend not to
Now-
notice it until we get something like this.
Right,
You know,
and-
then
and so
it's
it's
like,
A good probably place of business for you, Matt, to just say somewhere on your sort of annual planning calendar, whatever, probably summer
right.
would be the
This
best time of year to try to lock in and figure out all of our expensing going forward, and that would just be a part of it. Now, I know a lot of those companies don't deal with propane,
Right.
and so they would probably have to have 2 separate contracts.
A lot of them don't want to give any prices either. They don't want to step on each other's toes. It's not as, they're not like. It's a different.
Yeah.
They have a different set of rules internally, so they can kind of
So
charge it.
I would say we probably should use this as an example of just flush that all out. You know, look at Fred's, look at Blanchard's, look at Butler, look at oil supply, you know, look at 3, 4 of them. You know the numbers, I mean, our numbers are all written, what we've used,
Yeah, because the
So-
school puts theirs out to bid every single year.
that's what I mean.
Yep.
We should probably be doing that.
And also Nate had mentioned, like, he said. Where he had worked possibly before, they use off-road diesel fuel, and they don't use diesel fuel, they use off-road. And they save the tax, and then, so they buy it cheaper, and he said, we're buying regular diesel, so were you gonna check in to see if that's legit, like we can use off-road diesel?
I can check, yeah.
In our
I have
trucks?
No idea what the answer is, but I can check.
See if
You wouldn't think you gotta use off-road on the trucks.
Yeah, I don't think you can.
Well, he was saying, I don't know, but
Yeah, I don't.
he
Use
mentioned
it
that.
in tractors. I don't think you-
Yeah,
Check into that.
Yeah.
Other towns do lots of stuff that's not.
Right.
legal, I've discovered.
yeah.
Training out.
We're not signing that.
That a big boy? Let's see. I already looked at half of these, right, Deb?
Yes, you did.
Mhm.
Because if I don't, within 10 minutes of receiving my email, she calls me.
I looked at, it was just one thing voided out, there was one that was void somewhere in there, and I didn't. Not on here, but you'll see it. I'm gonna see that page.
What do you mean, boy, did?
There was one you scribbled out, there was one invoice from someone. But you didn't cut a check for it. It was in the packet, I think it was in the first email packet.
I don't remember that.
I don't either right offhand. I remember it one 2 times ago.
I know he asked a question in regards to one off last week's AP.
So Hancock Hill, do we get a grant for that? Don't we get a grant for Hancock Hill?
Yes.
How much back do you get back?
Lots.
Except reserve fund.
Yeah. Lots of money.
I don't know where it came from.
Let's see, most of these.
So
It's not that much.
Oh, I have another question too.
Culvert grant, I think.
You're gonna hate this.
We got.
30K.
I'm not.
Easy.
That was $56,000 one.
Well, maybe it was.
Was.
We're the grant man.
I know, I've got it, put it on the gas.
Oh, we got it. Actually, I need it, so I can.
Yeah.
Needed the laptop.
Electronically.
Yeah.
Oh, is it for the town garage?
They always come up on audits.
Right, yeah, they always.
It's always like 2 years after. like,
Yeah.
I think Dave was talking about
No,
that.
I've got all the active grants.
Yeah.
Sitting on my desk.
Okay.
Who got a new laptop? You? Did you get a new laptop? We got
I think we're replacing this,
This one's going to the garbage.
well, no, it's going to.
No, that's mine.
Not going to.
This one's going to Deb.
Researchers.
For the researchers to use.
I got a question for you, Dave.
Mhm.
Or whoever. Looking through the 800 pages that came with your attachment. There's a list of outstanding checks.
Mhm.
That go back years in some cases. One was his dad.
He doesn't know where it is.
Why wouldn't we call those people, void, stop payment on the original check and give them a new check?
In select cases, if we have a phone number, we ask.
But you're incurring more costs, and you like to try to take away costs.
What?
Said you're incurring more costs, but you like to take away costs, because every single one of those checks you put a stop payment on, there's a stop payment fee we will be paying, like about $40.
Well, I mean,
Just to clean it up.
personally, I don't care I'm real cheap on a lot of stuff, but some things I'm amazingly not, which is these checks are to people, most of which are townspeople that we wrote checks to, who for whatever reason never cashed that check because it went through the laundry or they forgot about it. It's like, we need to be the responsible parent here and say, look, we owe that money, we should be helping out. When I saw that, it kind of struck me. There was a whole bunch of names that I recognize most of the names and I know half the people.
Lots of former select board.
Uh,
Because it tends to be people that we pay.
Yes, mostly former town officials.
yeah, but there was others.
Yeah.
Some of those are like small tax refunds. that
Yeah,
people
there
just- I'm pretty sure throw in the garbage, but
So.
I will say in the accounting world, typically what the theory is you received an invoice, you did your due diligence, you cut a check, you mailed that check to the address that was in the invoice. Whether or not that check gets cashed or not is not up to your designation to go back after. The accountant would be coming in at the end of the year or whenever there's a time frame of like at least a year. If that check has not been cashed, then a journal entry would be done to wipe it off from the books to get rid of it. That's
So,
the theory.
I know that is the cold-hearted decision of an accountant. But, I mean, this is the town, and these are our townspeople, and these are the people that have worked for us. Or have been part of our groups. We should give them the money. That's just, I get the accountant stance. Sounds like Jeff Graham there for a minute.
God, no.
Yeah, Bill.
Yeah, she's gonna send us a bill for that. So, can you get that paper,
Yes.
that document,
Yes.
and get it on your table?
Mhm.
So that we can get a better idea of, I don't remember how much money there is there. It's not a lot of money.
No.
It's just a lot of little
Yeah, $20 here.
$20, $40, $50.
Yep.
And let's look at that. Maybe for the next meeting and have a discussion about that. I know Brad's been missing it.
Yeah,
He,
he's really hurt.
I saw him
He's really
hurt and he
for that.
couldn't afford to pay a coffee the other
Right,
day. there,
yeah,
so.
he can't get his coffee at Royers, he gets pretty upset.
Is that one thing he complained to you about?
Yeah, he couldn't afford his coffee one day, his Coventry didn't pay him.
Back in 2017.
No, we didn't pay him, you had to get a medium instead of a large.
He couldn't find.
He couldn't find the jack. Forgot where he put it.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the Tanya Lambert thing?
What's that? Tanya Lamore?
Pride Fit?
That's
Yes,
reimbursement.
that's fitness.
Health club
Oh.
reimbursement,
Yeah.
That the foundation.
that would be under the health club
Never
reimbursement
responded.
policy.
He tried to get that freaking,
Oh, yeah, that was one that we were discussing, right, to try to get that over to the foundation. Think that's doable, Deb?
He has still been checking about.
What's that?
I said, that's still one you've been checking about in communication with.
Yeah,
Good luck.
see? Thank you, Deb, for all your help.
You're very welcome, Mr. Morley. Thank you for all your help.
something condescending.
Are you? Are they gonna be ready for an August meeting for continued discussion?
Oh, God, no, because we
No.
didn't have a meeting in July.
Okay,
Do September and I will let Leo know, put you on the agenda for September.
could you?
So on this check for 19,000.
Thank you, Deb.
22409 to Calkins, you're gonna take that, you're gonna take that out of the flood.
Flood mitigation fund.
So you're gonna charge.
Yeah.
How much did Champlain, how much was the tire and rim? How much they ended up charging us for
I didn't
that?
see that, I never saw an invoice. for it.
I haven't seen, I don't think I saw either. You,
haven't
the
seen
tire
anything.
wheel?
I haven't seen it.
You guys are lying. You saw that last time. Or
I don't
actually-
wanna-
Or
I
you
don't-
just signed that, Scott, in last week's. It was either last week's or the week before. It was almost $1,000. It was like 890 something.
Yeah, I knew that was a good deal on the rim. I just didn't, that's what I was, I
Yeah, I
looked
don't think
online
it's in
before I had a
September.
motor and it was.
Yeah.
860.
Yeah, I don't remember.
But I didn't know,
It was 2 weeks ago then?
they must have,
Yeah,
Either the one you just barely signed last week or the one.
did I already sign the check?
Yeah.
they must have, had labor to change the tire, because the
They
rim
treated
was
you good.
$1,000, I think
Yeah.
so.
Because I think the rim itself was maybe 560-ish, and then I think the rest was labor and some other parts.
That's a good deal. Somebody messed up.
No.
I mean, it said rim on the invoice, so I'm assuming that's what you're referring to.
2,000. He started off so cheap.
All right, let's get a motion on those.
No other questions?
No, but I feel it important to say thank you, Deb.
Well, thank you, Mr. Morley.
Now that I've been back in the saddle here for a few months and I actually read the work you do. Because it's not quite so many moving parts and overwhelming that, but that's a huge stack of paper. And when you know, on the weekend, I have a little more time when you send me that stuff, or when Dave does. The way that you guys are giving all of that material to us is A+. It's
Thank you.
easy. It's perfect, so I appreciate it. Yeah. And you too, Dave. Good day.
Good day's work is amazing. We only have one Dave, so we only have a good Dave.
Oh, I'm sure he's still around. Yeah, think about me, right?
Motion to approve the warrants as presented.
Very good.
All those in favor? Aye.
Okay, adjourn us.
That's usually you like to get out of here.
Come on, motion to adjourn.
That's-
All those in favor? Aye.
Great job, guys.
Good night.
Thanks,
Deb.
Deb.
Thank you.